Good day, YouTube. So today I'm going to be talking about how I took this cardboard helmet, I put some Bondo on the top, I cut out this nice little visor. Some things that you won't see are me cutting this borden hole connector because I didn't take a video of it. It was just a drill bit and measuring. And then this little accent piece right here, I didn't really show how to do that, but just measure and cut. And then this bad boy dome piece, I don't show how I filed it, but I will show I will talk about how I added the dent. Some things that you'll see before the end of the video is the earpieces will be added. And then I'm going to be ready for paint. It's not going to be perfect, but it's at a point now where I like what I see, and I'll go ahead and paint it. So hope you enjoy. Shout out right now to Tommy Boy on the dented helmet, who went ahead and liked what he saw and gave me a great price on his fiberglass, or not fiberglass, but sort of plastic helmet. I think this one probably looks a little bit better than mine, but again, I sort of like scratch building everything, so I'm going to also finish this helmet too. So whenever I go to paint, you'll probably see me painting two helmets. I hope you enjoy. Again, if you like, please subscribe. It's down in the lower left-hand side. It's very tiny. Try not to annoy you. Thank you for your time, and hope you have a wonderful day.
First things first, I go ahead and seal off the helmet, and the way that I do that is I use polycrylic sealant, excuse me. I coat the inside of the helmet first, and I coat the outside of the helmet. This gives sort of a nice, somewhat rigid structure. It actually looks a lot like a really thin down Elmer's glue. So I coat the whole entire helmet in that, let it sit, coat the earpieces in it as well, let those sit, and then I sort of give it a nice little sanding and clean it up a little bit, and then I do a small coating of fiberglass resin after I coat it the second time with polycrylic. I don't think I put enough hardener in the resin, and so it didn't work quite as well. So, but yeah, so that's what I did. I'm having a crisis of thought. I'm thinking, well, should I be able to see out of this thing? Oh, I know. I should cut out the little piece here in the front. That makes so much more sense. So that's what I go ahead and do with a razor blade after I draw it on there. Once I've done that, I keep going. Cutting out the visor piece after you coat the helmet is actually pretty difficult, but again, slow and steady wins that race. Just continue to make small cuts along the lines that you draw, and you'll eventually get the pieces cut out. After you cut out the dome pieces, after you cut out the visor piece, you are then free to do whatever you want to do next. For me, as mentioned earlier, I went ahead and put in the fiberglass resin. This is my first time using fiberglass resin. I don't believe I put in enough hardener because it took several weeks, it seemed like, to really get it to be, what's the word I'm looking for, to really dry out. And then I start putting Bondo on the actual dome of the helmet. For this portion, I slather it on nice and thick, and then after I let it sit on nice and thick, I go ahead and let it dry, and once I dry it, I use an orbital sander to take it back down to a smooth finish, and then I just do this over and over and over again. I am very lucky that I have an orbital sander because it is much quicker, as you can see, comparatively to those of you who have probably done this by hand. I do not envy you doing it by hand, let's put it that way. The overall effect was that I ended up using three to four coats of Bondo. So this is the second coat that I'm showing right now as I'm watching the video. 3 coats of Bondo. Sorry, this is the second coat so far. I had a lot of cracks in the space, in the cheeks, so I had to fill that in with Bondo as well. I needed to make the left earpiece, so I had to get back out my cardboard, get back out my cutting board, and go ahead and cut it out. The interior of this calls for 2mm wide supports. That is so frustrating to cut out with a razor blade. So I actually ended up using the thinner pieces that you'll see here in a little bit to do the inner supports. But just like you do every other piece, you make a lot of little cuts, straighten it out, sand it down, and then once you're done with all that, you can make all of your other pieces. The Dr. Pepper cardboard, or the soda can cardboard stuff, that's actually used as my 1mm cardboard. It isn't actually quite 1mm, but it is in my opinion, a good, at least a good number, or close enough that it does everything that you need it to do. So once I have cut out all the external pieces, I go ahead and cut out the internal support pieces. This is where Boba Fett differs from Wizard of Flight. Wizard of Flight has concentric flat pieces that go up, and then you sand them smooth into each other, whereas Boba Fett has the templates that I use for this helmet, has his inner supports, and then you lay a piece over the top of that. So as you see, I'm trying to give myself a better idea of where to lay out all these pieces, so I actually glue down the paper to the part that I am making. Once I've got that done, I start gluing all the parts together to get them set up to build the whole entire ear support. One thing that you'll note is I actually have to go back in and remove the excess hot glue right there, so I'm actually a lot more careful for the next few pieces. This whole piece is very fiddly to make, but it turned out, in my opinion, really well. I have never done the Wizard of Flight templates, so I don't know how it would have turned out with those, but as you see, I use the inner supports to actually put the outer support over the top of, and I make for sure that this inner ridge is actually nice and smooth on the inside, so that way whenever you're looking into the earpiece, you don't notice any of the supports. So once that's done, you go ahead and lay the outer pieces on. I had quite a bit of sanding to do on the bottom sloping piece, so that way it would be small enough and the pieces would be curved and they would fit across or fit against each other very, very smoothly. One thing that I did have to do with these pieces, I had to add a little bit of Bondo to the outside of them to sort of smooth out the appearance of the outer surface. And here's me actually sanding off the second coat of Bondo. More sanding. Once I get the more sanding done, I actually have to start looking at the added details on the top of the dome, such as the arrows cut out and the dent added. The dent added was and the triangles for that and the triangles as well. I wanted to try to do a good job, but at the same time, I'm also this is one of the parts where I could go overboard and I could get this 100% super accurate, when in reality I just want a dent in the helmet. So I ended up cutting out the hole using tape, sort of pushing that into there, and then adding Bondo, behind, so it actually gave it a natural dent. Once I'm done with that, I go ahead and add an outer coating of Bondo to the earpieces because there was a wavy appearance on the outer surfaces of the thinner cardboard. So once I've done that, I go ahead and add the hole to the right earpieces, only to find that it doesn't actually go through the piece very cleanly. So then I end up having to add Bondo to the right ear part, so that way I can then drill it out later with a smaller drill bit. And then after I get done doing that, I let the Bondo sit, I sand everything down, and then I add the earpieces to the exterior of the helmet, and we have a complete helmet that is ready for paint. I hope you've enjoyed the video up to this point. Have a wonderful day.
Have you ever wanted to be a Mandalorian? Have you ever wanted to be Boba Fett through his eyes? Well, I'll tell you what, right now you are inside a Boba Fett helmet. How cool is that? Not only is it a Boba Fett helmet, it's a Boba Fett helmet that I made. I like to talk with my hands. I don't know if you knew that. I'm sure if you watch any of my other videos, you'd probably see that I like to talk with my hands. So, I have finished the outer coating of the Boba Fett helmet. I have a dome on the top that's nice and smooth. There are a few cracks in here and there, as well as some showing through, but I think it'll come out well in the wash. If I were to do it over again, you know what I would do? I would actually put a nice thin coat of Bondo. You can see right here I had Bondo for the dent, but I would actually put a thin coat around the whole entire inside, and that would help give the dome more support and keep the these little sort of like thin cracks that I've got like right here from developing. As you see, I've got a nice little dent in there. I've got my arrows in the dome. I've got my side pieces actually molded into the helmet. I've got my borden hole connector cut. So all in all, I actually really like the way this has turned out so far. I see some imperfections here and there that I'm probably gonna have to clean up with a little bit of sandpaper that I probably won't take a video of. But all in all, I'm actually really happy with the way this has turned out so far. If I could do it all over again, I would just buy a helmet. Holy cow, did this thing take a long time. And it's nowhere near as good as some of the helmets out there that you can just spend 150, 200 bucks on and you'd be done. However, this is a scratch-built helmet, or scratch-built costume, and I take pride in my work. So tune in for the next set of videos and you will see me start painting this bad boy. And I hope you enjoyed. If you did like, go ahead and subscribe down in the lower left. I will be continuing to produce these videos until I finish this costume. So thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again around the channel.